Welcome back to the Nutrimedical Report, and it's the hour, of course, that we have the host with the most, Michelle, and she's firing your questions at me to try to get me to be stumped. Hopefully give you a good answer.
Am I firing you?
Firing line. No, it's firing the questions. And those questions, of course, come in by email or phone to our order line, 888-212-8871, or through Nutrimedical through the Contact Us. You got announcements, Michelle, and what's coming up?
Hi, Bill. How are you today?
Doing good. We'll try to give concise answers and not be quite as, how can I say it, over the top.
Long-winded as last week?
Last week. Maybe we'll, maybe long-winded in the emails when people get specific answers, but we'll try to be very, very quick.
We, you.
We. Well, there's a we here, actually. There's too many.
Sure, yeah, you
I suffer from multiple scientific and technical personality disorder.
You've got a whole bunch of people in there
Exactly.
and they're all trying to say it.
They're all trying to. They all interrupt each other.
You know why you interrupt people? Is you're actually interrupting yourself. There's so many people in your head talking back and forth, and you're actually talking to yourself.
That's right. I just admitted
and you
that.
You forget there's somebody else.
I admitted that. I admitted that. But
I'm diagnosing Bill.
There's dozens here. Okay, go ahead.
And I think that's Mommy Mishi's diagnosis. Huh? I almost said Mommy Mishi. Well, it's too late. I said it, right? Because that's what Bill calls me too. With the daddy bees and the mummy Mishis. You can't help it when you're on the air. You go, these things are going to slip.
Even though we have grandkids now. Wow.
Oh, I know. How exciting. Matthew and Amanda and sweet little Henry are going to be here on Wednesday, August the 20th. So, you know what? Next Friday, I'm taking off, and hey, where am I going? Oh, my gosh, you guys go, not again. Yeah, Disneyland, because Henry can't wait to go to Disneyland again.
But we will
be doing
I'm
dragging Bill. So we're going to do the show on Thursday.
Thursday we'll do the show, yeah.
Yeah, I'm dragging you along.
Always. I'm not really a Disney fan.
No, you're not, but I make you be.
I'll go there anyway.
Just don't take electronics, is all I say. You're not allowed to take electronics.
Definitely don't like these theme parks that take you in rides that can give you a cervical lesion. I don't mind them. I'm not afraid of them. I don't like twisted up.
In Kelsey, they go on.
Oh yeah, they like those the crazy rides.
But I take you on the raft one. That's pretty.
No, that actually is fun. Actually, yeah. The adult rides are pretty good.
Okay, Bill. Let's start with the first person that I talked to this week is someone that works at GCN, and I'm not going to say their name because I don't want to. I want to keep their privacy, so it's anonymous. We'll just say anonymous from GCN. But he is suffering from gout. And when he went to his doctor said, well, asked him, what are your eating habits? And I guess he's drinking like 6 Red Bulls a day, those Red Bull drinks, and a lot of red meat. This guy likes red everything. Yeah, well, I said, we have a protocol for gout.
Yeah, you start off with simple things. I'll give you a bio-LVR, Samethyl.
Simple. That's not simple already. It's complicated. Yeah,
well, those what you're trying to do is you want to get rid of the uric acid. And what you do is there's 3 things I recommend.
Okay.
Bio-LVR, Samethyl, and Vein-Away.
Very good. We're off to a good start today. Now, I want to bring up about international orders, the fact that there is no minimum order anymore. There used to be a $250 minimum order. There isn't any. However, the catch would be that the shipping is a set rate. So you can order as much as you want or as little as you want. The shipping is set for international orders. So keep that in mind when you're checking out. Say, gee, I could order a whole lot and just have this one shipping rate. That's right, you can. Oh, Joanna. My dear, sweet Joanna. Oh, my
And her Jonathan.
She's got a heart as big as Pennsylvania, doesn't she?
As big as her horse that she takes care of.
Big as her horse. They're going to put the horse down. She sold the horse. They're going to put the horse down because the horse has elephantitis.
Well, that's what somebody called it. It's not really.
They called it that?
It's really lymphangitis, which is the lymphatics get inflamed. Okay. And there probably is some venous inflammation, too.
Because I put Joanna right through and she was talking to you about it.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, this woman. I mean, she's had sick dogs, cats. She looks after everything and everybody's.
Yeah, we've actually managed to do a lot of good things to help her pets.
Yeah. Give them a little extension on their life. She's good at that. She doesn't want to kill. She's pro-life.
Yeah.
Okay, Joanna, you go, girl. Talk to you again.
It's interesting. They trained us in medical school how to pull teeth and do lots of good things. And now I'm even doing some aid in veterinary.
I know, which you never got to do in your practice before.
It would be great if there ever is a colony after everything, and I'll be the doctor and veterinarian and everything.
That's right. And here you've been the doctor.
I'll be checking all the cattle. I say, yeah, those teeth are pretty good. They're not rattling when I go and wiggle them with my glove.
Bill, do you want to put up the website so we can talk just a little bit here for a minute? I just want to talk about what specials people asked me to put up for this week. Where you go? There you go.
Yeah.
So we still have the Ebola virus protection kit, which has the NuTriMed, the Power C, the Nutridyne, Silver 100, and NutriDefense in it. It's free shipping, and of course a sale price. I think it's about $20-some off of the price.
I think we're $25 plus free shipping.
Is it?
We also have the first line defense kit that includes the defense wipes and NIOSH N95 masks. And I have an article here by a Nobel laureate author and other experts. We now are pretty certain that Ebola is airborne, which the World Health Organization isn't admitting, so it's a lot more dangerous than people want to believe.
But I thought before you said it was only by blood and other stuff.
I've done more research, and we've now got pretty good evidence that of the almost 200 doctors and nurses that died, it was an airborne transmission that caused infection.
Isn't that unusual?
Well, it means that the virus has been changed sufficiently
to make it
that it now is very deadly. And the fact is, it's not just people sloppy. We're talking about people that have masks, the face shields, full body, head to toe. So these doctors and nurses are getting exposed enough with airborne virus that they're getting infected. And the death rate is 45 to 90%.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very, very bad. It's actually, as this plague gets going in Africa, it's probably we call it the Red Death instead of the Black Death. This is equivalent in Africa what happened to the Black Death in the 14th century. This is that devastating.
Let's pray that it doesn't ever come here. How about that?
It already is here.
Well, you know what?
And it's only a matter of time before it actually starts to cause trouble, but it'll probably take a year or two to rebuild up. But once it gets what's called an exponential curve, which probably took 2 or 3 years in Africa, 2 or 3 years from now, Ebola could be really a big deal. And it could really close down airlines. They're already closing in South Korea. They no longer accept flights from Africa, from these areas in Africa. That's already happened. It's likely that Europe and other countries will do so in the next month, that they'll stop flights coming in from these countries, even if they go through a secondary
well, this is what happened last time.
Anyway.
I said the word Ebola, and you were gone.
No, that's an important thing. Okay. We'll talk about that later in hour 3.
You will.
Hour 2, too.
Right now I have something not more important, I suppose, but more important, more interesting to me to talk about.
Right.
That's that I have half a dozen spots left on the cruise. Everybody's going, God, that girl, all she wants to just ignores the Ebola and goes right to the cruise. How does she do that?
By the way, it's an Ebola-free cruise.
I have to do that to survive.
You can't get on the cruise boat if you have Ebola, by the way. I'm just kidding.
You talked over me again.
I know, I'm trying to be funny.
I have to be like that to survive the relationship. Now, did you hear what I said?
Yeah. You've got 6 Ebola-free places on the cruise boat.
Okay. So, I would like to fill those 6 places with all you people here in California that only have to drive over to San Pedro and not even get an airline ticket and hop on and have a lot of fun with us in the cruise. The more people, the merrier. I love lots of people around.
Yeah.
Don't I, Bill?
I'll bring my QRMA machine, too, so we can do a QRMA test on people who haven't had one done.
Yes, of course.
Takes just a minute.
Yeah. And what else are you going to do on the cruise? Let's talk about the cruise.
We'll do 2 talks. I'm going to do a talk on.
Hey, I'm going.
I'll do a talk on functional medicine, and I'm going to be doing a talk also on the spiritual and geopolitical things.
Right.
So those will be 2 talks. Well, there'll be a question and answer. The talks will be relatively short. The question and answer hopefully will be long.
Yeah.
The people have good questions.
Question and answer. Everybody always has great questions.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill. Well, I am going to actually do this is amazing. It's the first quarter, right? 15-minute thingy, and I'm actually able to take out my emails.
That's good.
This is a miracle.
It is a miracle.
Thank you, God. Thank you, Lord. Your prayers are answered. That means I'm going to get a head start on these.
It's that in the cortical brain chip.
Oh, my gosh. Look what the first question is, Bill. Oh, look at this from Dan from Connecticut. Can Ebola, oh, my gosh, good thing the music's starting. Can Ebola be spread by mosquitoes and flies?
If it's a partial blood meal, yes.
What's that mean?
It means that any insect can get a partial blood meal and go to another host, yes.
Okay.
We don't know how many blood meals you need or how many bites, but anything the insect can do a partial blood meal can transfer any infection, bloodborne infection.
Okay, we'll be back shortly.
And we're back with Isn't That Humorous? So the first question you have is on Ebola. Everybody, in fact, I was even pulling up that Edmonton, the city of Edmonton, has a special app for their local people to be able to ask questions to get answers on because there's a lot of flights go in and out of Edmonton because of the oil fields up there and the oil tar sands.
Speaking of Edmonton, someone sent me an email from Calgary that in July there was a riot where Hamas people were beating up a family of Jewish people downtown Calgary, and the police didn't come, and so on and so forth. I sent that to you,
Yeah, what's happening is there's a lot of anti-Semitism, which we don't support. What we don't support is the Israeli government's super aggressive attitude, but we don't want anti-Semitism. Of course, the ultimate anti-Semitism is not just against Jews, it's against Palestinians, it's against Iraq. Right now we're bombing again. So all of this is anti-Semitism, and we're doing it too. So.
And there aren't any good guys usually.
They're all a bunch of different bad guys.
Anyways, let's start with Melanie. Hello, Melanie from Connecticut. I guess about 3 weeks ago, Melanie had an email, and I don't know if I had a chance to read it on the air or not, but she had inflammation in her eye, infection, and doctors couldn't, nothing was making it better. It was getting worse. Anyway, she goes to say that she's been taking the Nutrimedical Silver 100 orally and in her eye, and that her eyes are better.
And I think she's taking also Silver 100 in her eye and orally.
That's what she just said.
Silver. Silver is part of our eye protocol, because I think most people with things like glaucoma, retinal problems, and so on have stealth pathogens, and most people don't realize that the eye can be a seed of infections like Toxocara catus and Toxocara canis, the different forms of toxoplasmosis, and fungi can get in the canals of Schlemm that can cause intraocular hypertension or glaucoma. So there's all kinds of stealth pathogens, including mycobacteria and viruses that grow in the eye.
She's also on lumbar kinase, natokinase, supernox, gamma E, and a list of other things, CoQ10 and magnesium, etc. And she said she had a tiny bit of blood after movement Saturday morning and this morning. And her question is, she said, could the combination of all these products be causing irritation to my colon, or is it my hemorrhoids?
It's most likely hemorrhoids. You're not going to get excessive bleeding, because I know her history. She didn't have any polyps or precancerous changes. She had a colonoscopy done.
Okay.
So it's almost certainly an anal fissure from straining, or you would call it crack in the lower anal membranes. What I recommend there is taking GastroHeal, chew 2 tablets 4 times a day, and that'll help start peeling it and ageless. And to have soluble fiber, don't have anything like nuts or bran, but have soluble fiber like, the guava, type of fiber. Yeah, don't have anything, in other words, that's going to have anything non-digestible.
Here's something about me, look. Also, kindly tell Michelle that her curcumin cream is very soothing. I apply after Epsom salt soaks and can feel it drawing first and then settling down the foot, toes, and ankle for a while. I am most grateful for her kindness and thoughtfulness. Thanks and blessings to the whole family.
Yeah, that's from Phoenix, right?
And I don't remember what was wrong with her ankles and foot.
Well, I remember what she had was just from her history.
Yeah.
Her doctors misdiagnosed it. She probably had a combination of lymphangitis and vasculitis, and she was having inflammation of the vessels. So we put her on the right protocol.
That's why the lumbar kinase, right?
Yeah, and also the Vein-Away and the topical curcumin and silver. The silver penetrates through the biofilm. So does all of our antipathogenics like our Nutridyne, diatomic Tesla activated plasma iodine, and the allicin med or Alamax will penetrate through the biofilm, which regular antibiotics do not. Antivirals do not, and they're extremely toxic. Like if you take ribavirin for hepatitis B, your hemoglobin can drop 1.5 grams to 2 grams a day. That's how toxic it is. I mean, you can literally destroy your bone marrow.
Next is Miles from Arizona. Dr. Deagle, ever since they changed the format at GCN, I have not been able to get your program. When I click on it,
it was fixed yesterday. They had a problem when the texts were gone on Wednesday. Yesterday, they got it fixed by the end of the show, which is 5 o'clock Central Time.
So where do you find it? On the front page?
If they go to the top, if they want to listen to the archives, at the top of Nutrimedical.
I think it's kind of switched around on the front page.
I moved it around, but
that's what I'm saying. You switched it around.
I moved it around so it's easier to find.
Where's the easiest place to listen live?
If they want to, the first thing they listen on demand is right below the second one down.
Yeah.
And then the free MP3 archives are what I'd recommend.
Okay, so on demand is the best one for just listening.
Just listen. You don't have to dial it in. Just listen. Plays the last show. And then if you want to go to the listen, brings you to basically the whole Genesis network, and then you have to kind of search around to find it. Okay. You're better to go at the top, as I've moved them around, to get the free MP3 archives. We also have podcasts, and you have to have a podcast thing like Juice on your
Shouldn't that
Android.
on demand? You should put Listen Now there or something.
No, that's the on demand, which means that when you hit on demand, it's just basically playing the show 8 times a day. So you can't roll to the front of the show there. You're just listening to the show being replayed 8 times a day. And
what did you do with the Listen Now button?
The Listen Now button, well, the Listen Now is actually, you're not really listening now at all. You're listening now to Genesis, but there's sometimes 6 different shows on, so you're not going to hear the Nutrimedical report, so I put it down near the bottom.
Okay.
Because it just confuses people.
So keeping it simple, just hear
go to the top.
Show, you just go to where?
Go to the top, which is free MP3 archives.
Most people do listen to it after the fact.
Yeah, or you can go to the podcast, it'll send it to you. And of course, we have also the live stream TV shows and blogs, which I'm now putting on a blog pretty well every day.
Perfect, Bill.
Yeah.
Next is Carolyn from Toronto, Canada. And she says, please advise which products to buy. Number 1, to protect against Fukushima fallout. And number 2, to become pregnant. I am on colloidal silver. I make it myself. And my husband is of the Levi tribe, a Jamaican Maroon, whom you should meet.
Yeah. First off, don't make your own colloidal silver, especially if you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Use Silver 100, which is safe at the citrate form. It's an ion stage, so it's going to stimulate stem cells and kill pathogens, but don't make your own colloidal or nanoparticle silver.
Yeah.
For pregnancy, the most important thing is folic acid, so you want to take, I would say, Bio-LVR, which is B12 and folic acid. Mm-hmm. And then for pregnancy, I'd recommend a bone generator, Vitamin Max, Minerals Plus, and then essential fatty acids for the brain growth of the baby, which is Neurogen and Nutrifos.
And for Fukushima?
And for Fukushima, I'd recommend 3 things: Nutriodine, Nutritrala, and Nutridefense.
Thank you, Bill. Next question. You're going to get a star at the end of the show.
Is that in my head, or you get a star? We're walking into the restaurant afterward and they'll say, why do you have a star in your head?
Because you were a good boy on the show. Okay, here we go. This next email is from Thomas, and Thomas lives just west of the capital of Canada, which is...
Ottawa.
You're doing the water thing again.
I had to, so I won't cough.
Everybody can
My throat's
hear
dry from all the talking before the show.
Ottawa is the capital of Canada. Yeah. Very good.
And what is Ottawa? Is it a native language, Ottawa?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. What does it mean?
I don't know, the river?
The convergence of the waters.
See, it's close.
Yeah.
Hello, he says, take a look at... Oh, this is the video that was sent by that I was talking about from Calgary, that he wanted to, the Calgary riots. Okay, we already mentioned that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Next email is from Brenda. Let's see where Brenda's from. She's from Ohio. Dear Dr. Deagle, I am a huge fan of yours and have been for many years now. Thank you for all of your hard work to make this a better world. Also, I look forward to reading your new ebook.
Yeah, it's coming.
When does that come?
Well, there's the Fukushima.
Coming.
No, the Fukushima book will be ready probably by next week. And the other one, the functional medicine book, has been coming in chapters. It's going to be coming in little
I know,
e-books.
you keep sending them to me, but pretty soon you're going to have to put them up.
I said
you're so fussy.
A short version of it last week. Come back, and Michelle has more questions here and perhaps a little more humor.
When we left, remember I was reading from Brenda, and Brenda is from Ohio. She goes on to say, due to my absence of diagnosis, I am having a very hard time figuring out exactly what to purchase that might help my symptoms. An endocrinologist that I have recently seen from the Cleveland Clinic has told me I have antibodies that suggest Graves' disease. But I have been and still am hypothyroid. She wants you to help her figure out what she has. She said, my goal is to reduce my symptoms and possibly reverse them by using your products, Dr. Deagle. Would you please help me? And she
we need more
for a consult.
Yeah, more data.
You don't charge for a consult.
Yeah, I can just be real.
You have to be as a customer, Brenda.
Yeah, I can be real brief. Firstly, I need to have the exact antibody tests he did. Number 2, your history, and if they did a thyroid scan. The problem is they may have, if they the distinguishing test is called a LATS, or long-acting thyroid stimulator, and many people that are told they have Graves' antibodies actually are hypothyroid, like she mentions. If you don't measure reverse T3 and T3 free forms, as well as core body temperature, your testing is useless. So just going on the basis of antibodies alone is not accurate in terms of determining hyper or hypothyroidism. In China, in Shanghai, recently at a consult, and the Chinese do not use radioiodine. They use methimazole, which is a blocker, and use natural things to block the hyperthyroidism graves, so they don't destroy the thyroid gland.
Yeah.
But they're much more aggressive here, and they use radioiodine, which completely destroys the gland.
Yeah.
And that's not good. It's,
Next is Lillian in an email. I have received this email from someone I consider to be well informed. Doesn't mention who it is, though. I cannot verify the information, but I do have experience using high doses of vitamin C. The article goes on to say that 500,000 milligrams of vitamin C to reach bowel intolerance is recommended to treat Ebola. And I do know that as an extremely high dose of vitamin C to be taken orally...
Just a second, no, she said 500,000 milligrams?
Yeah, that's what she's saying.
No, you don't need that much. We're talking about 30 to 60 grams. Now, a gram equals 1,000 milligrams, so we're talking about 30 to 60,000 milligrams. Okay, so
yeah, that's great.
So that's all you need, and we're talking about 30 to 60 grams. Each capsule of Power C is equivalent to 1.5 grams. So you just have to divide it. You're trying to get 60 grams. You divide that by 1.5, and it tells you how many. Split it up to 3 times a day orally. And for every 3 Power C, you take 1 full vitamin K2, and it'll stop what's called a cytokine storm of Ebola, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, or rickettsia, and it'll stop the avian swine flu cytokine storm, because it starts what's called a complement-activated DIC, disseminated
Which is
intravascular.
why we have Power C in our Ebola
protocol.
kit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because the thing that kills you isn't the Ebola virus.
What makes our vitamin C different and better?
It's the only neutral vitamin C in the world.
Yeah.
It's not just buffered. It's the only neutral vitamin C. It's also the highest concentration. It's calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium ascorbate with bioperin, which is spectral black pepper extract.
And what does that do?
That increases absorption by 40%.
Okay.
So you're able to get super high concentrations in the tissue. And by the way, it's more powerful than liposomal. Liposomal is nice because compared to regular vitamin C, it's more absorbed, but the dosages are eensy-beensy. So if you take liposomal, it's like, okay, you could have a little bit of that, but you want real super high concentrations and total dosages to stop the cytokine storm. You want 30 to 60 grams. And we use that also for cancer and autoimmune disease. If you want to turn off an autoimmune disease or cancer or cytokine storm, super high doses of Power C will terminate it.
Here's another lady from Ohio. It's Susan from Ohio. I have a younger sister who is 46, and she is having much pain in her hands with tightening of her skin. She's been told that she has...
Scleroderma, that's very common.
And is beginning to start seeing a specialist. With all of the chemicals and GMOs that we're exposed to, I'm unsure whether pursuing the conventional pharmaceutical route...
Well, they'll use a disease-modifying drug like... Madazolamab, infliximab, etc., and they may use steroids. I don't prefer that way. You can use one of the medical treatments that does help is called plasmapheresis, where you separate out the immunoglobulins. I like high-dose Power C. I like immune modulators like Allergon, Allerblock. Things like Malignares, because autoimmune diseases have the same metabolic underlying features as cancer. And when you treat it metabolically, you actually turn off the illness because it's the antigens are being expressed on the surface because of stealth pathogens and toxins, and they create an immune response that attacks the tissue. So
it's funny you say it's interesting because she says, my sister lives in the western inland part of North Carolina with my mother, who has recently been diagnosed with lymphoma.
Right.
Not sure if these weird cancer-like anomalies between the two are a coincidence.
Yeah, all cancers have a stealth pathogen growing in them, like mycobacteria and fungi. If you actually biopsy, you can see intracellular mycobacteria, and you'll see fungi on scanning electron microscopy. So
she goes on to say both the women are Christians, and that she's been praying for them, and she wishes she could do more. And
what you do is, I discovered this about 5 years ago, that if you take the same metabolic approach to autoimmune disease as cancer, but they have the same roots, you can turn off autoimmune conditions because the antigenic presentation on the surface of the organ is stimulated by the what's called the hypoxic acidotic state that is just starts generating abnormal antigens, and the presence of stealth pathogens and toxins in the cell that stimulates certain genes to start presenting non-self antigens on the surface. That's why the body recognizes non-self and starts to attack it. And there's often immune homology. For example, ulcerative colitis, there's an identical sequence of 10 amino acids in the Saccharomyces cerevisiae that's identical to the basement membrane of the bowel wall, and it'll cause an attack.
Next is Wu Yi, something like that. It's a Chinese name. Dear Michelle and Dr. Deagle, can you recommend any 4 supplements for ex-recreational drug users? Thank you for putting up this radio show and the precious informations and teachings that you're so willing to share with us.
Okay, NutriDefense, Xenoestrogen Detox, BioLVR, and Cognition Plus.
Thank you. Next is William from Tennessee. I listened to your August 8th program, third hour, where you were talking about how chlorine blocks the production of T4 in the thyroid. My wife is an avid swimmer and has been swimming in chlorinated soup for many years. Remember when she thought the Nutridyne was doing something to her or something? You said maybe that's a cause for hyperthyroid.
It can cause damage to your thyroid because chlorinated forms chloramines, and it can induce antibodies that attack your glands.
Really?
To displace it, you want to take the Tesla-activated diatomic iodine Nutridyne. Regular iodine isn't strong enough in terms of what's called electrophilic to be able to displace chlorine or fluoride, but the Nutridyne is. And chlorine is bad. That's why I don't think it's a good idea. I know the U.S. military and others try to propose chlorinated water. Firstly, Ebola is very unlikely to be transmitted through water, through a water system because it's going to die very quickly. It's a very fragile virus. It can be spread in droplet spray, vomiting or diarrhea or, most fomites we call it, where it exists in a kind of semi-liquid form for a period of hours. But it's very unlikely to survive in a water system. So your regular things like chloramines you use to clean your water, and at point of service, you should use a pure water system to pull the junk out so you don't have chloramines in your shower like trichloroethylene, because they induce lung and brain cancer, prostate and breast cancer. And these chloramines attach to your DNA and they form DNA adducts.
Since we put in that whole house system in the shower, oh my gosh, that was
beautiful,
a year and a half ago or so. Yeah,
you're a happy girl. At first you thought,
nice.
Why are you doing that, Bill? I say,
no, I just said don't spend the money.
Dexter's Laboratory,
and then I went and thought maybe you better. You're going anyways, so whatever.
That's why if you came to my studio, you'll see it's like Dexter's Lab. I get all kinds of weird and wonderful equipment and things that I'm investigating. Like you see that big black box over there.
Yeah,
that's a
like
magnetic
a trunk.
It is. It's a magnetic field machine I'm researching from China. I'm also researching with the engineers in Shanghai that owns 2 clinics, one in Hong Kong, one in Shanghai, that's re-engineering the QRMA and the bioplasma machine they're building for the Russians from the Russian Space Agency.
Next is Jeff in an email.
Yeah.
He has a question on Nutridyne. I was drinking it a couple of drops per glass of water, and I was doing lines of it across my wrists. Gosh, it sounds like cocaine or something, doing lines of it. And he goes on to say, for quick absorption in his bloodstream. We went to his VA doctor, and he had vertigo, and he wanted to know if he was taking too much Nutridyne.
No. What he needs
and then he quit the Nutridyne, he still has vertigo.
Vertigo, basically. First you take Meniarin,
yep.
Allithiamine, Cognition Plus, and I always recommend an antipathogenic like Silver 100.
Yeah, Meniarin is great for vertigo.
Yeah, Meniarin for vertigo, yeah.
Before with that. I don't know why I think Nutridyne did that.
No.
But I mean the fact.
Welcome back to the Nutrimedical Report. Just want to throw something out. I know one of the things that people are not aware of, that 1 person in 10 over age 60 has the early signs of Parkinson's. It was one of the things that Robin Williams had besides his bipolarity. And we'll talk about that in hour 2 and 3, because I think it's important people realize there's things we can do to help all these things with advanced conventional medicine integrated with what I call functional, metabolic, and genetic medicine, because that's what it is.
Okay, now did we answer this last question that we were talking about here for Jeff? Yeah, I think we did with the vertigo, right?
Yes.
Okay, then on to, this is just Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan, from Christchurch, New Zealand. I think I already answered your question about the shipping.
Yeah.
And he wanted to know if there was still a $250 minimum. No, there is no minimum internationally anymore. You're free to go crazy. And then this is Paul in an email. I live in Vancouver Island with my family, and I am wondering what products to take for me and my family.
You have to describe the problem. Is he concerned about Ebola, or is he concerned
just
about
the regular things? When people ask
I tell people, first thing I tell people to take is Vitamin Romax, Nutridyne, Omega Supreme, and probably
just 4.
4. Let's see, Cognition Plus would be the other one I'd recommend.
Okay, let's go on to Mark. Mark from North Carolina. I was introduced to you by my coworker Colin. and I have listened to some of your internet radio programs and others that you were a guest on. I suffer from psoriasis and the accompanying arthritis and have been meaning to get in touch with you, but I am contacting you today because my wife, Janine, is dead set on getting weight loss surgery. She says they will reduce her stomach to the size and shape of a banana. I don't like the idea at all, but I want her to be happy. She has struggled with her weight most of her life. She is 42 and in good health, and she's been exercising for many years and can't get the weight off. She used to run 5 miles a day and has worn one treadmill out a couple of times over. Good thing it had an extended warranty.
Yeah.
He says. Anyways.
Well, let me describe the
Yeah,
thing.
he wants to know what you think of her doing that surgery.
Back when I was doing my family internal medicine residency, I helped one of the senior surgeons, and he liked having me in the operating room, so I did a lot of them, and from people from Cardston, Alberta, because I worked in Calgary at the Foothills Hospital, and we had dozens of these people who came in and did surgery. And the final 5-year study showed that this was much more aggressive surgery than just the banding, where they actually did a stomach stapling. That 1/3 of people lost 1/3 of their weight at the end of 5 years. The problem is all those people who did lose weight all the people who got serious things like gastroesophageal reflux disease. They ended up with massive nutritional problems, cancer, osteoporosis, etc., and congestive heart failure. So what I tell people is you have to identify the specific problem. If you're going to do a gastric banding, it has to be for a specific period of time, because if you do it long term, you get nutritional imbalances. I think that what people need to do is diagnose what's wrong. These people, we had 2 dietitians in our office in Calgary that were actually counting right down to the calorie, and they had people on less than 500 calories that were not losing an ounce of weight even with exercise. But when we did tests, and I brought the test from Germany of T3 and reverse T3, we found out that these people basically were in stasis. Their body were in deep space. They were shut off their metabolism. They all had elevated blood insulin levels. They all had problems with pre-diabetic, we call thyroid and insulin resistance. But our protocol that we use now can raise that. Leptin metabolic, lipoflush, dibetaline, biotin plus, chromium cruciferate. Start on the glycemics and try to replace 2 meals and 2 snacks a day. Get into an exercise program with vibrational exercises, because it'll raise your metabolic rate dramatically. Test 10 minutes.
Yeah, once the insulin's corrected, then
you got to correct the insulin resistance. It's not just it, and you'll see your insulin levels drop if you can actually do a test through your conventional lab, and the best lab is actually Genova Metametrics. But if you just do a test,
you don't have to do a test. You just do the.
Well, you can actually do the QR. The best
test
I like is the QRMA, because you can actually do the test in a minute, and it'll show your insulin resistance dropping as you repeat your QRMA test.
And again, not everybody can afford that. So what you do tell
start on the glycemics and the other
products are, and you get yourself.
Carbo block is very important with every meal. It'll block the alpha glycosidase.
There's a problem with weight.
Right, but the problem is, you see, this is a metabolic disorder, and if you give people so low calories, you're trying to lose weight, their metabolism shuts off, and then you get massive nutritional imbalances that cause cancer, osteoporosis, heart failure, droopy skin. So now that even the plastic surgery can't fix it because it's not going to come back properly. So it doesn't fix the problem. In other words,
from New Jersey,
yeah,
Richard. My friend Jennifer was diagnosed with advanced
metastatic lung cancer, not from smoking, genetic mutation, EGFR.
What is the EGFR?
It's hard to say what that specific mutation is, but there's a number of mutations that are being identified. Some that are not fully certified, and others are big universities are trying to say this is specific. Genes are permissive. If you were living 400 years ago in Scotland or in Europe in a non-polluted environment, those genes would probably have no effect. You have to have the presence of toxins in the body, in nutritional imbalances, and the growth of stealth pathogens, because you're weakened, to cause the exposure to cancer. So,
well, what he says is, can you help my friend reconcile what her future likely holds, the moments right before her death? Because he says that she wants to fear less, and she needs help taking the fear out of what is to come for her.
That's more of a spiritual question. We can talk about relationship with the Most High God.
Yeah.
But in terms of, you have 2 issues there. You have the spiritual, which gives you a stronger relationship to God and the eternal. And on the physical side,
the relationship with Jesus.
There's
Most High God is, I know it when you say that, but lots of people need to hear
Jesus,
Yeshua.
Relationship
with
I usually like to use the term Yeshua because it means...
He doesn't care what you call him because he knows his
it's more accurate.
names. Just like me,
Yeshua.
Your daddy B.
So the Bible is referred to as Yeshua because it's the Father in the flesh. It's not three separate persons like the Trinitarian view. It is one person. The Creator God is one person.
You have many names.
Right.
You're Bill. Your daddy B.
But I'm not three persons.
You're William. No, I'm saying.
Yeah, no, but that's my point.
When people get hung up on whether or not you say the proper name or something, he knows who he is, and you know who he is.
The reason why I clarify that is because if you say it's the Father in the flesh, which is what his name means, Emmanuel, which means the Father or God, the Creator of the universe, in the physical flesh.
Yeah,
that's what when the angel came to Mary. So
that's the most beautiful.
So that the real point is that it's actually not three persons like the Trinitarian view, which is quite Masonic. It is one person, one God. That's why, for example, right in the mezuzah on the ancient Hebrew doors, which are not Sabbatean Jewish, it says the Lord God is one, not three.
That's
one.
Right.
So when we talk about the Holy Spirit that's in us, it's God in us. It's literally not a separate God.
I know.
It is God. The same God that Jesus came in the flesh. It's the same God that created let there be light. It's the same God.
Yes.
All right?
Are you done?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, on the other side, on the physical side, we have cancer clinics in Mexico and Europe. We have nutraceuticals that can fight cancer. There's no need for them to kind of start shutting down and saying there's nothing can be done. I don't believe that. We have all kinds of augmentation.
I'm going to give you this email.
From hyperthermia to mild hyperbaric oxygen to pulse magnetic field to light therapy that can help increase their survival. Go ahead.
I'll give you the email.
I wasn't long-winded there. It was important.
Yes, sure. Now, this is from Joanne.
Only when necessary. Only when necessary.
Will you stop?
Go ahead. You got 2 minutes
I want
left.
to get this question in for Joanne.
Left.
She's just up the road. Buena Park, California.
Go ahead.
Hope all is well with you and your family. Likewise, Joanne. Thank you for sharing knowledge. I adopted my youngest son, Christopher, several years ago as a foster baby, and he was diagnosed with failure to thrive at 2 years old. He is 14 years old now and is healthy. However, he has ADHD and is on meds. He's on Concerta and Clonidine. He is very athletic and active, and his passion is roller hockey, and there's days when he can play 4 or 5 hours. So she's going to send you a QRMA for you to...
I don't have it fully analyzed, but I have a brief look at it, so I'm analyzing. It takes quite a bit of work.
Here's her question. I notice that sometimes...
And by the way, a lot of abnormalities were present on the QRMA.
Here's her question. I notice that sometimes you recommend the triad of CDP, thiamine, and uridine 300 for ADHD autism. Sometimes you do not.
No, I always recommend it.
Please explain in more detail when this triad is preferred.
Always. It's always preferred because there's a cholinergic imbalance in all children with ADHD because it's a postsynaptic inhibitor. And it raises the cholinergic pathways in the cingulate gyrus and the areas of the brain that record new memory traces and learning. It also improves functional control between the anterior forebrain bundle and the forebrain cortex, which is the executive functions that maintain behavior and control of interpersonal activity. So they don't act, in a sense, like an Asperger person. So you can do a brain scan or a Quig scan, quantitative EEG, and you can see their frontal lobes aren't turning on when you give them that triad along with Cognition Plus,
What's your best product for energy?
I would say...
is it Mountain Ridge? That's a question from Chile, San Diego, Chile.
I would give... the best product for energy would probably be the D-ribose.
Okay.
For ATP. It turns right into ATP.
We survived another hour.
You put it in your drink, little D-ribose.
And Bill's still talking. I'm going to say goodbye, and when I go, believe me, he'll still be here talking to himself, but you won't even be on the air. So see ya.
There's many of us.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you for listening. God bless you. Praise God, praise Jesus.
Right.
The one and only God.
And the reason why I interrupt myself is we will be back, and there'll be many of us.
You will be back, and you'll be many.